a surprising and explosive appearance in the Brady briefing room at the White House. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard solidified her status as the breakout star of the Trump administration by dropping receipts and declassified information showing that Barack Obama and his fellow coup plotters knew exactly what they were doing, lying, explicitly lying, and revealing unverified human intelligence in the media to try to paint President Donald Trump as a traitor, colluding with Russia. Now, we all knew that was false. She's just now, like I said, providing the receipts. Tulsi Gabbard also saying that she is sending referrals to the Department of Justice. Listen.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Treason is a word that President Donald Trump himself used yesterday, not a word to be taken lightly considering it carries with it the death penalty. Our own Allison Steinberg has more of the details in today's Swamp Watch.
Well, it's been another busy day here at the White House. President Trump met today with the president of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., as both sides work to strengthen security and economic partnerships amid evolving Indo-Pacific geopolitics. Marcos and Trump discussed trade deals as China has been more assertive in the South China Sea, noting on Truth Social the Philippines is going open market with the United States at 0 tariffs and that the Philippines will be paying a 19% tariff. At the same time, the president is also demanding Fed Chair Jerome Powell lower interest rates to 1%.
It's something you sort of have or you don't have. They don't. The job he's done is just terrible. He ought to raise interest rates. You know, we should be at 1%. We should be leading the world. Instead, we're paying 4%. And if you look at what that means, that's over $1 trillion in interest that we have to pay. That with the striking of a pen, we would be saving more than $1 trillion.
However, the issues of trade and the economy weren't the only focal points during this meeting. Here's what President Trump said when asked about the DOJ's top priorities.
From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him. And Comey was there, and Clapper, the whole group was there. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it.
Trump has made it clear that he is much more concerned about Tulsi's discoveries involving Russiagate than he is about the Epstein files, which has been a huge point of contention within the MAGA movement over the past couple of weeks. Just this morning, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced plans to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in a bold effort to uncover the full extent of Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking network. AG Bondi is seeking to identify uncharged third parties and obtain additional evidence related to Epstein's operations. She has also directed the FBI and the DOJ to release further disclosures. A statement from Blanche reads, "This Department of Justice does not shy away from uncomfortable truths nor from the responsibility to pursue justice wherever the facts may lead. At the direction of Attorney General Pam Bondi, I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days. Until now, no administration on behalf of the department had inquired about her willingness to meet with the government. That changes now. Something about this, however, is very suspicious. Because why now? Why are they just now going to get a statement from Maxwell, who's arguably the #1 witness, right? Wouldn't this mean no real investigation was conducted? And better yet, will we actually see Maxwell testify before Congress? Well, House Republicans are preparing to issue a subpoena for Maxwell to do just that. But conveniently, Speaker Mike Johnson has closed the House early, launching the 5-week August recess ahead of schedule, which will not only delay this potential testimony, but also block a vote on the release of the Epstein files. When pressed by a reporter, Speaker Johnson claimed the Trump administration needs the space to deal with the Epstein situation.
Here's what I would say about the Epstein files. There is no daylight between the House Republicans, the House, and the president on maximum transparency. He has said that he wants all the credible files related to Epstein to be released. He's asked the Attorney General to request the grand jury files of the court. All of that is in process right now. My belief is we need the administration to have the space to do what it is doing, and if further congressional action is necessary or appropriate, then we'll look at that. But I don't think we're at that point right now because we agree with the president.
So no vote on this resolution before August
No.
recess. We had this up.
Will we see justice for Epstein's victims? Will Obama and his cronies be held accountable as well? Well, that remains to be seen. Reporting for LindellTV, I'm Allison Steinberg.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids. But not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer.
President Donald Trump continues moving his administration farther away from the Biden regime on artificial intelligence policy. So perhaps reports of the breakdown in Trump's alliance with the so-called broligarchs following his fallout with Elon Musk are greatly exaggerated. Trump is set to make it easier to export artificial intelligence technology abroad and reduce barriers to its development in the U.S. that may include everything from faster permitting for building AI data centers to more use of AI at the Pentagon, to identifying which federal regulations slow down AI, and even withholding federal funding from states with tough AI laws already in place. That's according to Reuters, and the president is set to sign a series of executive orders this evening related to artificial intelligence. But what does this really mean for the United States, or for humanity at large, for that matter? After all, however enthusiastic that President Trump and the broligarchs may be about developing AI, there are many, many people, especially our own Allison Steinberg, who are rightly worried about what the implications of AI development are. Here's former Google CEO Eric Schmidt talking casually about how in a few years humanity will revolt against a quote-unquote super intelligent AI system.
Generally intelligent means that you get up in the morning and you have free will, I think largely invented here in France, and you have free will, and you basically have this notion of I get up, I do what I want, I learn what I want, I seek what I want. That kind of strategic intelligence is not yet present in these systems. The consensus is that occurs, my own dates are between 4 to 6 years, relatively soon. The step after that is when the system, the general term there is superintelligence, is where the system is smarter than the sum of all humans. And the test for superintelligence is pretty simple. It can prove something that we know to be true, but we cannot understand the proof. We humans, no human can understand it. Even all of us together cannot understand it, but we know it's true.
We're now joined by Karen Kingston. She's a biotech analyst and the author of the wildly popular Kingston Report on Substack. Karen, the president is set to sign a series of executive orders related to AI today. And according to Reuters, at least, and I think based on his comments, recent comments, it's probably going to fast track artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I think most people are against this. I mean, this was in the big, beautiful bill to deregulate artificial intelligence, and the Senate voted 99-1 to strike that. So it seems as if the administration, is moving forward with deregulating it. I mean, for the last, 5 years or so, NVIDIA was banned from selling some of their fast processing chips to China, and I know Trump lifted that ban just a week ago, and so I think this is a little bit. I mean, I think it's very scary. I mean, Elon Musk has said that AI could destroy humanity, wipe out humanity. Also, the other thing that's happening with the use of general artificial intelligence is now companies and the government is outsourcing physical labor, labor that we do, whether you're an engineer or a doctor or a programmer or a designer or a writer, that's being outsourced to AI. And so technically speaking, AI is a threat to national security, because anything that would have as much economic damage as an act of war that would have vast economic damage is a threat to national security. So, I think a lot of people are probably going to be blindsided by this, and hopefully more and more people will speak up and against it.
It is concerning, and some of the oligarchs, and especially Peter Thiel, who is very influential in the Trump White House, especially with the vice president's office, has been saying some really bizarre things out there in sit-downs in the media. In fact, when he spoke with Russ Dutot recently, he essentially said that Mars is a political project. Let's listen.
Mars was supposed to be a political project. It was building an alternative. And in 2024, Elon came to believe that if you went to Mars, the socialist U.S. government, the woke AI, it would follow you to Mars. It was the Demis meeting with Elon that we sort of brokered. He was doing DeepMind.
This is an AI company.
Yeah, this was the rough conversation was, Demis tells Elon, I'm working on the most important project in the world. I'm building a superhuman AI. And Elon responds to Demis, well, I'm working on the most important project in the world. I am turning us into interplanetary species. And then Demis said, well, my AI will be able to follow you to Mars. And then Elon sort of went quiet.
And then, okay, I want to play these back to back. Peter Thiel also had this to say about the Antichrist. Listen.
Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again,
I have also wondered myself, is AI perhaps actually the Antichrist, or ushering in the age of the Antichrist? Karen, it's like these oligarchs, these oligarchs are admitting that it's a spiritual battle themselves, that perhaps they are playing God in so many words.
Oh, they are admitting it. Yuval Noah Harari has said so. There'll be no more free will. Alex Karp, in his May letter to the investors, he quotes from the book of Matthew that beware of wolves in sheep's clothing, and you'll know them by their fruit. And he doesn't understand. I think they think we're not intelligent enough to read between the lines what they're talking about. And it's interesting, the first clip where Peter Thiel kind of lets the cat out of the bag regarding that Elon Musk is turning the human species into an interplanetary species. So yeah, the use of the mRNA is being used. And some of our own leaders have said this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's part of transhumanism. We're using mRNA to usher in transhumanism, which is, adding non-human DNA to the human genome and merging it with technology, with artificial intelligence. And what's interesting, and I fully encourage everyone to watch the 1-hour interview of Peter Thiel with Ross Douthat from the New York Times, Interesting Times, because he lets so much information out during that conversation. And I think many of us have thought, why is Elon talking about this crazy idea of sending humans to Mars? There was never an intention. And Peter Thiel explains in that interview that it was, it's a metaphor for a political movement. And that political movement is to change societal norms here on planet Earth, starting with America. And so that's what going to Mars is. It's about, changing, getting rid of our human rights. And Alex Karp has said many times that he believes in meritocracy. What he's talking about is not meritocracy. He's talking about authoritarian, tyrannical regime. Meritocracy is when the superior, go to the top. And Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they all think that they're superior to the rest of the human species and they should be making the rules. And Alex Karp has said, how do you get meritocracy? So in other words, how do we get in charge of all human beings? He goes, you threaten your enemy so that they're scared, and they're scared because they know they're going to be killed. That's his words, not mine.
Considering we're still trending towards transhumanism, that doesn't bode well for accountability for the bioweapon and someone else who thought they were playing God. In fact, Alison Steinberg asked this question of White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt yesterday. Listen.
Sure. Do you have any insight as to when the auto pen pardons may be invalidated? And if so, does the president have any plans to ultimately arrest Fauci? This is critical to the MAG base.
I don't have any information about the pardons, but I have told you and will say again, the White House counsel's office is investigating the potential abuse of the auto pen from the previous administration. This is a really important question to get to the bottom of, and the White House is working with the Department of Justice to do that.
She avoided answering the question directly about Fauci. Will Trump arrest Dr. Fauci?
We haven't seen any action regarding the mRNA Operation Warp Speed injections. I don't think we're going to see any criminal investigations on that. I think I don't see any signs that that's going to happen. I mean, there's been talk, but there's been talk about a lot of things that have just never come to fruition. So I don't know, Emerald, if there's any indication that that's, if anyone's really championing to arrest Fauci or Rochelle Walensky or, Peter Marks or Janet Woodcock or any of them. I just don't see that happening,
In fact,
I'm sure
Peter Marks is still making a lot of money from former conflict of interest, still making a lot of money from, his positions that he's held. So, yeah, I agree with you. Look, here is the thing. That's why you can never rely on one person, right, to save everyone. We still have to push back because there is this seduction that is going on with transhumanism, right? And we did see, at least in the Congress, Allison asked the same very important question related to AI of Speaker Johnson. And then with all the public pressure, and we've heard on several issues that the Congress has considered, our audience has actually called in and moved the needle, such is the case with the immunity bill, the immunity language they were trying to push through in a certain bill related to Monsanto Bayer. So we can affect change. We can stop this boulder rolling down the hill at us if we just keep yelling, right, and keep highlighting, because we have seen some positive reversals of course of late based on even our reporting and our audience. So there's still hope, right, Karen? Or no?
Now I sound like Peter Thiel. I mean, Peter Thiel explained in that interview that he invests in biotech, AI, and politicians. And Ross Duthow specifically asked him how he feels about his return on investment regarding investing in Trump and for the 2016 administration and now the 2024 administration. The stakeholders for the government are supposed to be the American people, but the oligarchs are explaining that they're the stakeholders in the government and they invested in their U.S. politicians and they're going to do what they want them to do. So at this point,
there you have it. I was going to go for a little positivity there at the end, but there you have it. We'll still report and put public pressure on and hope that and pray, public pressure and pray. And hope that we can stop this. Karen Kingston, thank you so much. We have Mike Lindell coming in just a moment with breaking news, so we're going to have to cut this one a little bit shorter than usual. But it's good to see you. We'll keep reporting it, Karen.
Yeah, we'll keep reporting it, and push back and pray, definitely pray. So God can
definitely pray. That's the word of the day. Definitely pray. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, thanks.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
As I mentioned, our very own Mike Lindell has some breaking news for us. So we're going to go ahead and bring in LindellTV.com CEO Mike Lindell. I know it's related to a very important case, but I don't even know enough to tee it up. So just take it away. I can't wait to hear it, Mike.
Yeah, you guys, this will be the number one story in the world, or it should be, because it was the number one story in the world a couple years ago. Everybody remembers the Cyber Symposium and the $5 million challenge. Well, I went to binding arbitration, and this guy, Zeidman, they decide that he wins the $5 million. And everybody remember when they announced that, on a Tuesday, Fox News, this all happened the same week. Fox News, the number one story in the world, Dominion settled for $787 million. On Wednesday, Mike Lindell's evidence is all wrong. He loses $5 million. On Friday, the Fox fires Tucker Carlson. All in 1 week. It's like if you talk about our elections or if you have evidence, you're going to get sued. Well, today, just now, 10 minutes ago, everybody, a federal court in Minnesota appeals court overruled them, and it happens, my lawyer said, less than 1/100% of 1%. This doesn't happen. This is a miracle, and it's righteous. They totally vindicated. I sent you a text, Emerald. I don't know if you want to read that. That was just from the.
I have that.
Yeah, go ahead and read that.
I have that from the opinion. The court. This is amazing news. First off, congratulations. In the opinion, the judge writes, or the court writes, quote, "We conclude that the panel effectively amended the unambiguous challenge contract when it used extrinsic evidence to require that the data provided was packet capture data, thereby violating established principles of Minnesota contract law and our arbitration precedents. Accordingly, we reversed the grant of Zeidman's motion to confirm because, quote, the arbiters exceeded their powers. This is according to 9 U.S. Code 10A4, if you're looking for, the legal basis there. Mike, this is huge. I can't tell. I have heard so many times since I started working with you, when I talk about election fraud and how we continue to expose it, people say, well, but yeah, didn't Mike Lindell have to pay out $5 million for being wrong? Yeah. They use that. That is, I think, most often used to try to knock your credibility, Mike.
That was it. That's what they tried to do. Let's destroy Mike Lindell. You know, when we had the cyber symposium, even the Facebook fact checkers, they were there. I said, is this data from the 2020 election? And they said, yes. Everybody, there was hundreds of cyber experts, upwards of 100, including Harry Hursty from, these guys that were there, all of them said it was from the 2020 election. None of them challenged. And here this Simon, which I believe was a complete setup, if you knew who his lawyer was, that has ties back to the CIA and stuff, back in the day with the evidence that I had gotten. And also this from Dennis Montgomery, by the way, everybody. And this was that evidence, or part of that evidence. And then what they did, their routers or routers, and they're actually calling. They were directly involved too, and I don't know how, because when this came out of the that ruling, remember these guys went to a panel, they lost, then they brought it to this binding arbitration panel of judges, and they ruled against it, and I wasn't even. It was totally surprised, and even the Zeidman Emerald said on TV, "Well, we know we'll probably never get any money, but we've got to send a message out there that you don't put out disinformation about our elections, and in order to say Trump, I voted for Donald Trump too, like that makes a difference, right? Of this corruption that goes on in our country." It just so reminded me like what they just said in court in Colorado, federal court where I just won there, where My Pillow won, but their lawyers said straight out to the jury, "We know this could bankrupt Mike Lindell because he's and My Pillow, but you know what? If that happens, so be it, because we need to send a message to the country that if you question our elections and put out disinformation, you could end up like Mike Lindell." Well, here we are, Emerald. This is one of the highlights. I prayed for this day. There were so many of you out there that have prayed and prayed and prayed. This is a turning point. This is another breakthrough. And we'll just see if this makes international news, which the $5 million challenge did. You know what I compare this stuff to, Emerald? It's like when Chris Krebs came out. It's the most secure election ever. Well, how many times do we hear that by the media over and over and over again? And then he's all been discredited, right? How many times do we hear Mike Lindell owes $5 million? I go, it's in appeal. You know, that's what appeals are for. You get corruption, and then you have to appeal it. That's the world we're in.
But they had to have it for the narrative. I think Jimmy Kimmel probably is one person who owes you an apology related to this, right? Have you texted Jimmy yet?
Yeah, and Stephen Colbert, there's another one. All those late night hosts. Hello. Hey, I'll tell you what, but we're going to use this as a gateway to open those doors that no man can shut, because we are on the offensive. My teams are working on the ground across this country. I said, and we all know that the president's working from the top down. And by the way, everybody, I will see you all in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, live here on LindellTV. I will be live from the White House. I can't wait, because now we have something to talk about for the next day. This is so awesome. I'm so excited.
A win to talk about at the White House, and we certainly need those. And I do want to I want to touch on the Colorado Eric Coomer defamation case for a bit, because that is also going to be going to appeal. And you got to understand, it's another narrative setting case for the media, right? They go out there and they share all this, they spin it away. They use it to support their narrative to try to knock your credibility. But in that case, the judge's instructions were very problematic. Essentially, the judge told the jury, I found him guilty. She said, basically, she's found you guilty of defamation. They just have to decide on what way, basically, you defame Coomer. And I think as an American citizen sitting there, maybe someone who's not super familiar with the legal process, that would be extremely confusing. So you also have a very good chance on this appeal. Again, the jury didn't find any fault with My Pillow. That in itself was a major win. It related to the Colorado case. But we're going to be praying and watching out for that one as well. Since we are talking about this win, this was all related to the symposium and the information that you shared there and all those hackers there. And, you put out this challenge. Tina Peters was at that symposium, and that's one of the points that they've used against her. She had her writ of habeas corpus petition hearing yesterday. Just want to get your reaction a little bit to what's happening with Tina Peters. I know President Trump, I've heard from other people that President Trump is very concerned that they've not been able to secure her release yet. He has directed his Department of Justice to help Tina. Peter Tickton, a personal friend of the president's, is the one representing her. We're going to catch up with him tomorrow again on how it all went yesterday, but just your reaction to the latest with Tina, because she was right there at that symposium, and you all have all been attacked, greatly attacked for that event.
And that's exactly right. And they brought up this so many times. They never let her put her evidence out there of the corruption in Colorado, which, by the way, is posted on LindellTV, everybody. You can go right to LindellTV and go over to Inside the Machines. Everything is posted there. You want to see what's inside these machines? We've got the evidence. We don't just have the reports. Get yourself a cyber guy and have a ball. They never let any of this come out in Tina's trial. They didn't let it come out in my trial in Colorado. And right now, I think what they did yesterday, I believe they delayed Tina another 2 or 3 weeks. Is that correct, Emerald?
I think so. Like I said, we're going to catch up with Peter Tickton tomorrow. I know they felt like generally it went pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's delayed a couple of weeks. Now, I told the White House, I said the easiest way that I would see to get her out, because remember, they're federal, this is state, is to make her a federal, put her in the witness protection program. I mean, Tina just wants to get out, and put her in that program because they don't want her out, because she is a witness against Jenna Griswold, the Dominions of Colorado, all the stuff that they deleted, the stuff they did illegally in Colorado in the spring of 2021, and it's just the tip of the corruption there in Colorado. And so that would be the easiest way. You pull her out, you put her in the federal witness protection program, and but I think what they're trying to do right now is, in the meantime, get her out while she's waiting for her appeal. She's no threat to anyone. Remember, everybody, that judge said, you just continue to spew your lies out there. You haven't learned a lesson, and so I'm not letting you out. And while you're waiting for your appeal, because Tina had a show, she kept having her show. Once you know the truth, everybody, about these election platforms and the corruption of the uniparty, you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop, because we lose the country if we do, and that's where Tina's at. That's why here's a grandma, a Gold Star mom, threatened with going to prison for a long time, and she just stood her ground as a hero and said, "I can't take back what I've seen. I can't undo what I know." You guys could all too watch that movie that I made with her, called Selection Code, and it's just very. It shows everything. I mean, she's a hero, and she's sitting there, and she will be out. This is a breakthrough, you guys. This all ties together. The symposium, the $5 million challenge. We have broke through the biggest cover-up of the biggest crime in the history of the world. Fact, and that's that. This is where we're at. It's a great day. Emerald, my question is, do you really believe the mainstream media is going to put this out over there? Mike Lindell's vindicated. It's all. They're not, everybody. But we got something better this time around. We've got other platforms to put this out on. We don't have to rely on this.
And I will tell you, said you hope it makes international news. We are getting, we are reaching people overseas, because there's major concern about South Korea. And somehow people in South Korea have found me, and I'm getting all these emails from different people in South Korea saying, we know you cover this. This is happening here. It's just like you, and wanting us to shed light. So we are reaching the masses. We're breaking through the media blackout. And with you going to the White House tomorrow and being there, they'll probably be forced to cover it.
This is perfect timing, everybody. So you're right.
It is actually.
And this is why we have
LindellTV. Tell you, the man upstairs loves you so much. I've seen it personally. He honors your faith, and he takes care of you. And this is just, but just lining up, even making these divine appointments, and just lining up your schedule perfecally. I just had to say that.
No, it really is. And it's all of you out there, our prayers that everybody's been praying for this. And this is huge. I almost started crying in the other room when the lawyer called and said, I go, whoa. And it's not because of the $5 million. It's because of what, this is the breakthrough. We broke through the cover up, the lies that have been taken and the suppression. And having LindellTV, by the way, everybody, this is why I put that. This expands our voice. This expands our voice here at LindellTV, which we're publicly traded, everybody. If you want to get involved, MLMC is the call letters. I want to say too, Emerald, here's another thing I can tell you. The IRS, I've been under attack by the IRS for 3 years. I just got word that they are taking off all my deductions for LindellTV and Frank's speech. They're not allowing, they're calling it, it was political and it was entertaining and political for Mike Lindell. You don't call that an attack? That's about the biggest attack you could think of. So now we got to go back and fight that out with these guys. It's unbelievable. But I just, I don't want to put out anything
You're having
negative
some wins
there.
along the way. I think with the new commissioner in place, we're going to see some movement at the IRS as well. Mike, we're going to see you from DC tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. You'll be on the ground with Allison Steinberg. Lots of great. Be sure to tune in all day tomorrow because we have lots of breaking and live content coming from you, to you directly from the White House with Mike Lindell himself. Mike, this has made my day, and I'm going to get on the phone as soon as I'm wrapped on air because I have so many people to call. Be like, I told you so. So thank you for that, Mike, and thanks for jumping on with me and breaking this news.
All right, thanks, Emerald. Thank you all. God bless you. Prayers are getting answered, everybody. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made, and I was shocked. That guy's amazing, and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is.
Just who was the prisoner that was paired with Jeffrey Epstein during his final days on this planet? A local New York City news report from years ago details just who the man some believe actually killed Epstein was. Listen.
Accused of dealing drugs and killing 4 men.
CBS 2's Tony Aiello live at the federal courthouse in White Plains now. Tony.
Maurice, this was a 3-week trial with 2 days of deliberations. This afternoon, the jury convicted one-time Briarcliff Manor cop Nicholas Tartaglione for drug trafficking conspiracy and murder and kidnapping in furtherance of the conspiracy. The U.S. attorney said Tartaglione killed 4 men in April of 2016. Martin Luna was strangled, targeted for a $200,000 drug debt. 2 of his nephews and a friend were with Luna and allegedly shot dead to stop them from talking.
Also detailed in the report was how one of Nicholas Tartaglione's co-conspirators in those murders mysteriously committed suicide just before he was set to testify against Tartaglione. So get this straight, roided out former police officer who was clearly an enforcer for the cartels, murdered 4 people, may have orchestrated the suiciding of one of his co-conspirators, serving a life sentence in maximum security prison, and he's got nothing to lose, right? And now suddenly he's placed as a cellmate to one of America's most notorious pedophiles who just happen to have dirt on every powerful person in the Western world. Well, this sounds like a case for our friend, former Special Forces member and a former CIA contractor, Brian O'Shea. Brian, why have we not talked about this more over the years?
Well, they have tried to talk about it. It's gotten some news coverage. It seems to have disappeared. I want to give some credit out to someone named Jessica Krause, who actually happens to be in contact with Nick Tartaglione every week, according to her Substack. So I started looking into Tartaglione when I started looking again into the Epstein files, because I like to start small and work with facts, and some of the facts we have just happen to be around the death of Jeffrey Epstein. What I was shocked to find out was, and I heard your opening about, and it makes sense that he'd be the guy to kill Epstein, or he would be the guy to put near Epstein to be the patsy for killing Epstein. So the jury for me is still out whether or not this guy killed Epstein or not, because as you may recall, there was a suicide attempt by Epstein on July 23rd, 2019, when Tartaglione was his cellmate. Now, first Epstein said, I was attacked by my cellmate, and then he recanted. He said, I don't remember what happened. I don't want to talk about it. Tartaglione says, I never touched him. And it's hard to know the truth, because I've been around a lot of inmates, and I don't, they're very good at convincing people of their innocence. But in this guy's particular case, it kind of doesn't fit the mold, because July 23rd, the cameras happened to malfunction then too. Not malfunction, but they actually had the cameras running. And then later on, after Epstein's death, when Tartaglione's lawyer requested those videos, which correction said they had, all of a sudden they said, oh, oops, we were filming the wrong location. We don't have videos.
It's almost like a Hollywood movie script, because if you are writing a Hollywood movie script with a similar premise, of course, the guy that the government is going to put in a jail cell with the blackmailer is going to be a dirty cop, right? It sounds just like a movie De Niro would be in.
Right. Yeah, it's and again, I'm reserving my judgment. I don't know if he's dirty or not, because quite honestly, I don't trust this DOJ, and I certainly
of being a dirty cop. So I think we can.
He was convicted. Right? Well, he wasn't. He was already out of the police force. He was convicted of. Well, he was convicted of murdering 4 Mexican citizens or illegal aliens. I'm not sure what they wore. It was later revealed by Stephen Rex over at New York Daily, the New York Daily, that they were actually cartel members. So he got 5 convictions. It was like 4 murders and then 1 for drugs, for distribution of drugs. But what's really interesting about the case, there's a couple things, is that first of all, when I was reading the local papers and coverage about this case, the very first one reported that there were 4 people missing from this liquid lounge where these drug deals supposedly happened. And then suddenly the FBI was working with the state police on a 4 Mexican Americans, whatever they were, missing persons case, which seems like a bit beneath their pay grade. Why would they respond to a local missing persons case of 4 adults? And then this whole case goes down. Now, suddenly they find 4 bodies on Nicholas Tartaglione's property in upstate New York. Now, he's an ex-cop, right? I would think if he murdered 4 people, he probably wouldn't bury them on his own property. I'm just saying.
You think he would have learned a thing or two by going after criminals, right? Instead of being a dumb criminal. I do want to read this quote from some other reporting on July 23rd, 2019, just to add more context here, Brian. In this report, it says, quote, Epstein initially tells MCC New York staff, the prison staff, that his tried to kill him. Epstein's cellmate, inmate number 1, tells MCC New York staff that while he was asleep, he felt something hit his legs. And when he turned on the light, he saw Epstein with a string around his neck and called the guards. Just a little more color and background on that.
Yeah, well, and that looks like that's being read right from the Inspector General's report. And so that's exactly what they said. Now, I do find it odd that those videos, which existed, suddenly don't exist after Epstein dies. Up until he died, the July 23rd videos of what happened, they existed. It's in the court record. And suddenly they said, oops, our bad, we recorded the wrong cell. Literally, that's what they said. Here's the biggest one, though.
It's very odd to me. It's very odd to me. We're going to have to continue to break this down, Brian. We're running out of time because we have some breaking news with Mike. But
okay, really quickly, let me just say this one thing.
Yeah.
Maureen Comey is a prosecutor in all of these cases. Boom.
Yes, you cannot forget that. And they fire. It's a too little, too late firing her now. I agree. Let's revisit this next week, Brian O'Shea, especially if
Sounds good.
Jessica Krause is talking to this guy every week. That's interesting in and of itself. Lots more to discuss and something a little bit different too. Around this.
And tell Mike congratulations, by the way.
I will give him your congratulations. Thanks, Brian.
No problem.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
Director of National Intelligence. Oh, where's Tulsi? She's like hotter than everybody. She's the hottest one in the room right now because she found out with certainty. I think we knew it before, in all fairness, Tulsi, but now you have certainty. She has all the documents. She has everything that you need. And she found out that Barack Hussein Obama led a group of people and they cheated in the elections, and they cheated without question. It's not even a would you say there's even a little question there, Tulsi? She says no. And you found things that nobody thought we'd ever find. And I'm very happy and very honored to have you with us. She's right now, by far, Speaker, she's hotter than you right now, Speaker.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard really is the breakout star of the Trump administration and what has become a barn burner news cycle. The Trump administration's Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard, has been uncovering a lot of the dirt about the Obama regime and the overall Democratic Party's conspiracy to destroy the president of Donald Trump through a variety of means, right? But notably, the original hoax, the Russia collusion delusion of 2016. For more on this, let's bring in Liz Harrington. She is the former spokeswoman for President Donald J. Trump. And our friend, look, there's nothing like that we didn't really know here, but it's just more receipts to prove what we already knew. But I made the case earlier in the show that Trump has the justification to charge his predecessor and others around him for seditious conspiracy. Liz, your thoughts?
The very fake crime, right? When it came to accusing President Trump, like not a real thing. That would be absolutely delicious in terms of actual justice. And, it's amazing. You see why so many people did not want Tulsi in her position and have been, trying to push President Trump to, distance from her and all of these things, because she's been doing a lot to get to the truth on a whole host of matters. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, yes, maybe this is stuff we already knew, but it's new documents. It is absolutely new evidence, and it ties Barack Obama directly to the center of it all. And that is huge. That cannot be overstated. Of course, when you were watching it unfold before your eyes, you knew what was happening. You knew this was a lie. You knew Barack Obama was lying about Russia and what they were trying to suggest. That first it was fake news, and then it was Russia to explain away their historic defeat. But it goes so much deeper. And I think the documents that were even more coming out now, you really see that this was all connected with Hillary, with the spying illegally that they did on President Trump and his campaign. This was the insurance policy. This was, I saw a presentation years ago from the CrowdStrike CEO, and he basically laid it out exactly what they do. And this is what he said. He said, the best defense is a good offense. And that is exactly what they've done this entire time. They've turned their weakness into false accusations against their opponents. And they ran with it. And there needs to be consequences. This was a seditious conspiracy. This was treason. They not only tried to steal the election, then they stole the next one. So that can't be lost in any of this either.
Obviously, it is making Obama nervous, right? Because he responded, which means he's actually giving air to it, which means he is nervous. He's normally quite aloof about the criticisms and charges that, verbal charges that President Trump throws his way. In his response to Gabbard, he said, quote, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. It's pretty muted, actually. Your successor is calling you a traitor to the country. saying you basically did commit seditious conspiracy, and that's your response. Now, I know that some of these bad actors that were related to Russiagate and working for Obama on it, many of them have been domiciling or staying out of the country because they were worried the day that Donald Trump took office. Okay? Liz, you know the man well. Okay? You spent time working for him. Will Trump prosecute? Will his staff, will Pam Bondi actually follow through if Trump tells her to prosecute, right? Because it is unprecedented.
It is. And, I know what he knows should be done. And anybody, I love when he introduced Tulsi Gabbard there. It's just the best. It's hilarious how he just... So he's so light. He's lighter than air to talk about all these things. But he's probably not, he's not going to tell, Bondi what to do, but he knows what should be done. And I think he defers to these people and he thinks she's really tough. And it remains to be seen how tough she is and if she'll go there. But Tulsi's given all the goods. And I think if we will get something actually concrete, it is going to have to come from him, what Tom Fitton has been talking about, doing a special prosecutor that reports directly to the president, which is totally constitutional. We don't need this, air of independence when it's all fake anyway. They're all working together. It's the uniparty system to protect itself. That's what special prosecutors in recent history all have been. We need a real one. We need somebody who's actually independent and going to pursue the truth and real justice, which is what President Trump wants. So, I really hope so. And I think it will probably end up coming from, if it does, from someone who is appointed, who's not a part of this sick system, who has nothing to lose, and will get the job done. And the job is justice and truth. We need truth on all of this stuff. We have had so many lies, Emerald, for so long. And Barack Obama is engulfed in a lot of them. And so we need to really peel that all back and let the Americans see it if we're going to clean up this rot. Because again, these are the same people. I mean, they've done it before. They'll do it again. And if there's no consequences, you better believe it'll be worse next time.
Absolutely, Liz Harrington. You're absolutely right. Tulsi Gabbard, people don't know how much she has to fight to do this, you know, and there are those in DC who are actively every single moment of the day right now figuring out how they can oust her from the administration. So God protect Tulsi Gabbard. She's a gem. Thank you so much, Liz Harrington.
Absolutely.
So are you. Always appreciate you jumping on with us.
Great to see you.
Today, I want to leave you with this little nugget. Okay, let's put this into perspective. The value of what you're watching right now in American media, all the influence operations are now out in the open. Tulsi Gabbard blew the lid off the corporate influence operation, those hacks who perpetuated the Russia collusion hoax. There's a group owned by Israel. There's a group owned by Qatar. There's a CIA group. There's a group created by Elon Musk. There's also a GOP-packed group too. It's important to know the players as they're trying to influence the way you think. And that's the absolute truth. I'll see you tomorrow.